I was taking a break from studying for an exam that I have tomorrow morning, and I was going through another creator's videos, essentially procrastinating. I'm going to tag her below, but please go watch her videos, follow, support her page if you don't already. If you want to follow honest people that will tell you things like they are. Anyway, I was seeing a lot of white leftist or liberal women in the comments that were saying things like, I don't understand how not supporting Kamala and telling people and not to vote for her is privileged. And it really got me thinking. And in the spirit of curiosity and procrastination, I have an analogy. So let's say there's 3 people interviewing for an in-person position. One is a male and he has great experience, but he has a history of SA on his female coworkers. The second is a female with an impressive resume, but has a history of making controversial business decisions. The third is a female with a 4-year resume gap, but she verbally agrees with all of the company's morals and values. So those are the interviewees. So let's talk about the interview panel. The interview panel included 2 male CEOs, 2 female peers or coworkers who worked remotely, 2 female peers or coworkers that worked in person, and 1 male employee that was in a different department, the compliance department, who had very strong morals and values. So they have their interviews and they are making their decisions roundtable so they can get back to the interviewees. The 2 male CEOs are not worried about the SA because that male employee only had a history of SAing females. And they knew that they would still be in the leadership positions anyway, so they voted to hire the male. The 2 females that worked remotely aren't worried about SA because they don't work in person. But they do care about and worry about their in-person female coworkers. And they want someone with experience with a strong history of decision making, so they vote to hire the female with controversial business decisions. Now, the 2 females that work in person, they directly fear for their safety. They also want someone with a good chance of keeping the business running since they will be directly affected being in-person employees. So they also vote to hire the female with controversial business decisions. Now, the 1 male compliance employee, he is not worried about SA because that male employee only had a history of SAing females. He also has very strong morals and values, and he didn't work in that department. So since he wouldn't be directly affected by the hiring decision, he votes to hire the 4-year resume gap employee. So as you can see, there is some privilege here because out of the 4 different groups of the interview panel, only one of those groups had to worry about SA. So they very strongly did not want the male. A couple of the groups also very strongly had to worry about the person's experience in working, since if you have an employee that isn't really doing their job, despite how strong their morals and values are, it's not very effective and you're going to have to work even harder. The male compliance employee arguably has the most privilege of all of the groups because he's not directly affected at all being in a different department, as well as being a male, so he's not worried about the SA if the male employee gets hired. But let's say that it doesn't stop there, and he is unbudging that he doesn't want anyone besides the 4-year resume gap employee. So he proceeds to lecture all of the female panel members about what the most correct moral decision is. Again, despite not being directly affected because he works in a different department. And I promise this is going to be a hot take, but when I was thinking about this and thinking about the recent conversation about the man versus bear debacle, it dawned on me that a lot of white women wouldn't choose the man or the bear. They would just scream, "I'm right," as they jump in the river and drown.